Tony, a lot has been going on in the IFBB lately. You've been caught right in the middle of it. Can you give us a little background about what's been happening and what your current position is as of today?
Well, you're right, Scott. There's been a lot of confusion, and what we wanted to do today was to come out and perhaps do away with that confusion, let people know what's going on. Internationally, there's been a split between the IFBB Pro League and the IFBB Amateur League. And I guess, unfortunately, as an Arnold Sports Festival, we're caught in the middle and had to decide which way we're going to go. And obviously, with our alignment to the Pro League and the fact that we have a huge pro show, and it's one of the biggest parts of our Arnold Classic, we've got athletes signed, we've got tickets being sold for the last few months, that there's no way we're ever going to let go of that, because I love pro bodybuilding. That's sort of been a big part of my life. So that's basically what's happened, and I guess around the world now, different countries have to decide what they're going to do with which events and who they're going to align themselves with. And I think in the USA, obviously the NPC is huge and will continue to be huge, and in Europe, the IFBB Amateur League's big and will probably continue to be that way, and then the other countries will follow suit and decide what they need to do. But we've made a business decision to go with the IFBB Pro League and to start to run open qualifiers for that. That's probably the biggest change that we're going to see in Australian bodybuilding.
So this means that Australian athletes still have a path to a Pro League Pro card?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Arnold Classic in 2018 here in Melbourne will be a Pro League qualifier. All of our class winners, category winners, will be awarded pro cards, and that's their way to the Mr. Olympia and to all the Arnolds around the world and all the big pro shows that we know and love so much. So we'll definitely be giving away IFBB Pro League cards.
So does that mean that the very popular division that is Classic Physique will be coming to Australia if you're awarding pro cards to the pro divisions?
Well, not only will it be coming to Australia, but it's even better than that. We're going to introduce Classic Physique, which will put so many guys out there just dying to train for it and been wanting, I guess, for the last couple of years to have that category. I'm a big fan of it. In fact, when I was doing the interviews for NPC News Online this year at the Olympia, the excitement around that, interviewing the winner, Brianna, was just phenomenal. And I've been a big fan of that and can't wait to bring that look to Australia. I know a lot of people wanting to do it. Not only that, but the fact that we have had no competitors in that category, in fact, around the world, because the IFBB amateurs kind of had their own thing and didn't allow that apart from America. So at the Olympia this year, all the competitors except for one New Zealander were from the United States. So to bolster the ranks and to give the Aussies a chance in that, we're going to announce today that the top 3 at the Arnold Classic in Men's Classic Physique will be awarded their pro card this year, because we need to get some Aussies in that division. I think we've got a great depth of competitors here just busting at the bit to get into it. So that's the way we're going with that.
Yeah. There have been a lot of competitors who have been forced almost into other federations because they were caught in between divisions in the IFBB Amateur League, and a lot of those guys will be looking to do Classic Physique. Will other competitors from other federations be welcome to compete in the Arnold Classic qualifying show?
Well, this is one of the things that Arnold's been very keen on, that we've been keen on as an organisation, certainly something that Jim Manion's wanted to roll out, is that we're running open qualifier events. So that means anyone from any federation anywhere in the world can do the Arnold Classic and pave their way to a pro card. And we welcome everyone, whether it be NABRA or WBFF, and of course the IFBB athletes are welcome. And that's a huge thing that we've had great support from the IFBB for so many years, and I've been promoting the IFBB amateur shows now for 30 years, and we've got a great following now. We want to make sure that they know that they're welcome, but everybody's welcome. And we're not going to be exclusive in any way, shape or form. In fact, if somebody came, you can imagine this, if somebody came from another federation that had success in another federation that hadn't tried out IFBB before, they can now come in, do an Arnold qualifier, go to the Arnold Classic, and if they're the best on the day, they win their pro card. That's it. We want the best athlete to win.
Sounds great. Will they have to pay a membership fee to this new body that is the Pro League qualifying series?
Well, this has been one of the, I guess, most confusing things is people will say, what's this federation going to be called? Well, it's not a federation, at least not for the first season. Because a lot of athletes, I guess, no matter what federation they're with, before all this blew up, have paid membership fees to be a member of an organisation. So we're not going to say you have to join any organisation initially. We may start one down the track, but right now it's just an open Pro qualifier. So nobody has to join any federation, and of course they'll just pay their entry fee to enter the show, to do a qualifying event to go into that, and that's it. It's very, very simple. And I know people have been confused because I haven't spoken out. I wanted to wait till today until everybody had decided what we're going to do, and we'd spoken to everyone, and spoken to Paul and Carol Graham, and I should say they've been great to me for a long, long time. They gave me my start in bodybuilding and as a promoter, 30 years ago, and we've done everything forever with them, and a great shout out to them. But things change, and as the Arnold Sports Festival, we had to make a decision as to which way we go. They're sticking with the IFBB Amateur and a different kind of pro card, and we're going in that direction. So, in I guess, adding to the confusion by not speaking out, I wanted to make sure that I'd spoken to them and had spoken to Arnold and had the green light to go ahead with everything we needed to do, and that's why today's the day that we can make this announcement.
And in the past, there has been a little bit of a disparity between the IFBB Amateur League and the Pro League in terms of judging criteria. Physique guys were being marked down for being too big and looking too professional. And the same in some of the female divisions. Is there still going to be that gap between amateurs and pros, or are you going to bring it all in alignment?
Bring it into alignment. This is probably something I've had an issue with for a long time, and I've seen time and time again. And for example, physique guys that to me look like they could stand up in the Olympia, pro quality, and have been told you're too good for this division in Australia, you're too muscular, or you're too hard, or you're too ripped, your muscles are popping too much. You've actually got to get back, and you've got to lose some size, lose some condition, and come in and be less of what you are to win your pro card, and then they've got to try and put all that size back on if that new package is acceptable, which is very hard. We've seen the same thing in bikini time and time again, where perhaps the girls to me look like they could be on an Olympia stage, but they're marked down for it. So there'll be no more of that. We certainly will be judging the overalls and the pro card qualifiers as to who would look best in the Pro League. And if it's close between two people, well, the one with the most pro potential will certainly win.
Mm-hmm. And another contentious issue in Australia has been judges serving that are on the judging panel, which are also coaches. Do you have a particular view on that?
Look, I've got fairly strong views on that, but I also accept that it's a kind of small world and sport that we live in. It's impossible, I guess, for us to have good judges that aren't involved in the industry, because they're never going to get it. But certainly the head judge will not be allowed to be a prep coach or to do posing classes or to be paid by anyone for their opinion or for their feedback or for their coaching services. So certainly our head judge for the country and the head judge in each state as it rolls out will not be able to be prep coaches. Then I think we've got to come up with something that protects the judges and protects the coaches and protects the athletes. And I think it goes both ways. And everybody thinks, well, if somebody that coaches you is judging you, you're going to maybe win the show because of that. But I think it can go the other way as well. That sometimes the person judging you may be harder on you so that people don't think they're getting favoured. And it doesn't work either way. So what we're going to ask our head judge to do with all of the judges on the judging panels is to list all the people that they're prepping for that particular show before the show starts. And then we'll have some spare judges. And the judges that have got someone in that particular category, where possible, which will be most cases, will have to sit back and not judge that category, not be on the table at all, so they can't chitter chatter and say, oh, what about number 1 or number 10? And I think that's something that we have to work on for the credibility of the sport and for the athletes to be judged fairly both ways. So that's something I'll be adamant about rolling out, yes.
Yeah, I think that'll keep everyone happy. With regard to the actual rules and regulations, I believe it's going to be following the sort of NPC rules. Is there a resource which the athletes can go to look into the judging criteria?
Yes, and a lot of people thought, well, we're going to start NPC in Australia, and that's not quite the case at this stage. What we're going to start is the IFBB Pro League qualifiers, but we'll be following NPC rules as far as the heights and the weights and the categories and the criteria and all those sort of things. So if you go to npcnewsonline.com, I think it's /rules, you'll see the rules are all very, very well laid out there, particularly with the men's classic physique, because we haven't had it here before and people really need to get their heads around what the weight classes are, because they're quite a bit heavier than the old classic bodybuilding. And we'll be following their guidelines, and Jim Mannion, as the leader of the Pro League, will be working closely with Jim to award the pro cards and get Australia really, really pumping where that's concerned. And a big shout out to Jim Mannion, who's been, one of my biggest supporters for the last 17 years really that we've done the pro show, but especially the last 10 years where he appointed me as a pro director for Australia and enabled me to work backstage at the Olympia doing all the interviews and travelling with his team around the world and judging and sort of being someone in the Pro League. So Jim, to me, is a fantastic leader, and he has showed great leadership with this situation. I think he's made a good call with what he's doing, and I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great for everyone, great for the athletes, great for the promoters, and just great for the sport.
And with the Arnold Classic being a pro qualifier, will there be any other opportunities for Aussie athletes to turn pro at any other time of the year?
Well, let's go back to the Arnold Classic for a start, because people have been asking, how do you qualify for the Arnold Classic? Yep. And we will have qualifying events in at least 4 states. So we're looking at Perth, Sydney, Queensland and Victoria. And where that will change is that before you couldn't go and do a show interstate, for example. If you're from Victoria, you couldn't do one in New South Wales. Even if you had something on that weekend, it was just a case of bad luck. So I want to change that. And we're going to open up and say anyone can do any of the shows. So you live in Perth, for example, and you feel like you don't get looked at over there and be better off competing in Sydney, go to Sydney, that's fine. And if the athletes want to do all of the shows, and some of them do, and they've been unable to do that. Some athletes love to travel and they like to do 2 or 3 or 4 shows as a warm-up to a big show like the Arnold, because most people get better every week, not worse. And I'm going to encourage people to do any of the shows, all of the shows. Open means open, so it's anyone from any federation can come in and do our qualifiers. This is for Australians. Now, people overseas will be able just to enter straight into the Arnold on their own merits or through their country of origin, however they do it. But for Australians, you need to do a qualifier. But you can do any of them, all of them, whatever state suits. That's going to change.
Yep.
So that's how you qualify for the Arnold. Now back to your original question.
Yes. The original question being: is there going to be a second opportunity to qualify for a pro card, maybe towards the end of the year?
Yeah, we'll certainly be having another pro card series, like an A and B series, like we experience now, and we'll have state shows, which will be the qualifiers for the nationals, and we'll have a national qualifier where people can once again win a pro card. In all of the categories, including the new men's classic physique and bikini and figure and fitness and bodybuilding, and we might even bring in a chance for a 212 winner to have a category to compete in. So that stuff will unfold, but that's certainly where we're going with it, yes.
And there's the potential to have other shows perhaps throughout the year, which could maybe lead on to other events, perhaps even an international event?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll be having the ones that we've done previously with the all-female classics and the country classics, and I've got a couple of big pro athletes that want to do like a show for themselves, and we want to open that up and give people the opportunities that I've had to become promoters and to do their own shows and just keep promoting the wonderful sport of bodybuilding. And then they can lead into other Arnold Classics, they can lead into amateur Olympias, they can lead into a whole number of things because we want to encourage people to travel and represent their country and see the world. And bodybuilding gives us all so many opportunities, and we just want to share that around and open it up to everyone.
So in the past it has been difficult for Australians to travel internationally. It's been a sort of vague qualifying process, and sometimes you have to meet unusual criteria. It's basically going to be open to Aussie athletes. If they approach you and say, I want to do the Arnold Brazil, or I want to do the Amateur Olympia in India, or wherever it may be, there'll be options to do that for them?
Absolutely, there'll be options. I think they'll have to be of a certain standard. I think a first timer, that's a bit too much. But if someone's won a national title or a state title, we'll be very specific with these guidelines as this all unfolds, because it's happening very quickly. But the first thing I want to do is to send a big team to the Arnold in Columbus, because that's going to be an NPC-based show and a Pro League qualifier. And I've had so many athletes over the years that love to compete in Columbus, Ohio, before they do the Arnold Australia, because it's 2 weeks before. So I'm going to throw this out to all of the bodybuilders. We'd love to have you there, and I want to send a team of maybe 20 athletes, and we want to dress them up in Australia tracksuits and celebrate what they're doing and put a team together and send a team manager out and just grow that stuff. And then the other Arnolds, as the year progresses, we'll see which way they're going with all of this, because some of that's still up in the air. But I think we've got a great opportunity for all the Arnold Classics worldwide then to send teams to all the other Arnold Classics. And we've got 5 or 6 continents, and each one sends 20 or 25 athletes. That's an extra 100, 150 athletes in each of our shows. Yep. So to me, it makes a whole lot of sense, and we look forward to welcoming our guests from all over the world, but also we look forward to sending our Australians overseas to experience different cultures and different countries and different competitions, and another chance at a pro card. Because the way that Jim Mannion has designed this is that all the pro qualifying events in the world will be open to anyone in the world, unless it's, for example, the USA or the US nationals. You have to have a US passport, and we'll probably do a similar thing here in Australia with the shows later in the year that you were alluding to earlier. But the international shows will be open to anyone, so someone can come in here from any country in the world to try and win their pro card. We might have some big Americans come across the Arnold this year because now it's open. So Aussies, we want to be on our game, our A game.
Yeah. So you just alluded to it then. The Arnold Classic, absolutely an international event, but the end of season show, the season B qualifier for the Pro League, could perhaps just be exclusive to Australians only.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing we'll head towards, and we might team up with New Zealand, for example, and just keep it regional.
Yeah.
But I think there's got to be a chance for Aussies to be able to know they can go in and have a shot at a pro card, particularly with this opening up internationally, because we don't know how many countries we're going to get support from and who they're going to send. So I think that's something for the Australians to work towards. Having said that, I'd love to see the Aussies win the pro cards at our Arnold Classic here in Melbourne.
Tony, you know as well as anyone that there's a lot of good athletes getting up in the IFBB amateur shows over the next couple of weeks. Many of them prep for these shows thinking they would be Pro League Pro qualifiers. Is there a message you can send to those athletes? Because as it stands at the moment, the IFBB Amateur League can't grant them pro cards.
Well, I think they've got to stay on track. I think they've got to keep training and keep believing and aim to be their very, very best. And if they want to go in the direction of an elite card, and that's what they've trained for and that's what they want to do, we certainly won't be holding them back or encouraging them to do otherwise. But Jim Mannion has said, in respect to the athletes that have trained all year, because this has all happened from the Olympia really, just at the end of last week of September, so really the first week of October. So it's only a couple of weeks all this evolved. And Jim said that anyone that's been promised a pro card in 2017 will be honoured. So we will certainly be giving those athletes that opportunity if they feel that's the way they want to go. So I can't be more honest than that.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of excitement around this announcement, Tony. I'm very excited. I know everyone in Australian bodybuilding is very excited. What's the best way for people to contact you, whether they want to become a promoter, an athlete, a sponsor? What's the best way to get onto you?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities, Scott, and we're going to be looking for some judges, we're going to be looking for some officials and some backstage helpers, because we want to put big teams at the shows around Australia. We want to use great venues. We want to put my little flavour on bodybuilding. Anyone that's done one of my shows in the past knows how I do things, and we want to take that across the nation. And certainly there's some opportunities for people to become officials, to become judges, to become promoters, and we'd welcome that. And if somebody perhaps has moved away from the sport for whatever reason and feels it's time to come back, or they get excited like you about this announcement, then certainly I'd like you to contact me. And anybody who's got any questions that we haven't answered today, and I'm sure there'll be more, and I'm going to do some of the radio podcasts and programs and all that sort of thing. We'll post this up on our YouTube channel as well. But for anyone that has any questions or any potential involvement in anything we're doing, it's just tony@arnoldclassic.com.au, or you can contact me here through Facebook. You can contact me on Instagram. Look, I'm one of those people on the phone all the time, and I don't really mind how I get a message. If it gets serious, I'll probably ask you to shoot it through on an email eventually, because sometimes the Instagram messages and stuff get lost. But certainly I'm an open book, and I do answer every single email I get. So anyone that sends me one, if it's not the same day, it'll be the next day, or as soon as humanly possible. And I want to embrace this and really give people opportunities. The other thing is, with sponsors, we've had a lot of Australian companies have sort of heard what's going on and been contacted me the last few days. And there'll be an opportunity for companies to sponsor the Arnold Qualifying Series. And that way they can have their product and their brand and their exhibit in each state. So they can be in Perth, in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria, and they'll get a great deal on doing that, because we want to get more and more people involved and have their athletes come along and all that sort of thing. So to those that have reached out and made contact, thank you. And to those that are thinking about it, hit me up.
And just to be clear, the most probably important message of all, if an athlete aspires to compete in the Olympia, the Arnold Classic Columbus, Australia, in the pro divisions, the only way to get there is through your shows in Australia and some of those internationally recognised shows.
That's correct, yeah. That's the way going forward. We want to see Australians at the Olympia. One of my greatest thrills as a promoter the last 2 years is to see Josh Lenardowitz at the Olympia. And a lot of people say, if you're Australian, you can't make it. And I know some of our bikini girls have been told, you can't make it, you're never going to make it to the Olympia, why bother? And I know some of our figure girls, I know some of the aspiring 212 bodybuilders, they get almost a negative thing put on it. And I always say there's one answer to that. His name's Jocelyn Arlowitz, because he's a kid from the country. You know, he came up from Sale. Nobody knew who he was, and he managed to win 2 shows in his first year to qualify for the Olympia. Then he went out again this year and won another show in Tampa that shows it can be done. And there was a girl from Sheena from New Zealand, who was from, I think, Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand, who made it to the Olympia this year. And I look at examples like that, and I think how fantastic to see people from our region at the Olympia and on stage at the Arnold, you know. And I want to encourage everybody to believe in themselves and to have a vision and to have a big plan and to dream bigger, and don't just think, oh, I can never make it, because you can. And everybody at the Olympia started out as a nobody, and everybody at the Arnold Classic in Columbus and the Arnold Classic in Australia that you see on the main pro stage started out as a novice or a junior or a skinny kid or a chubby kid who just wanted to improve themselves, and they started to love bodybuilding, became their passion, their life and their sport. And I'm just really big on self-belief, and I think I want to encourage every one of you to aim really high and come along on this ride, because it's going to be fantastic.
Well, I know you love bodybuilding, Tony, and I know that everyone that loves bodybuilding in Australia is going to be thrilled with this announcement. I think we've answered all their questions, unless there's anything more you'd like to add.
No, look, I think we've covered off a lot of stuff, and I'm sure there'll be more questions, but today's the day that we officially launch, and we're going to have all sorts of stuff up. So our Facebook page is now called IFBB Pro League Australia. Our website is ifbbproleague.com.au, and people can go there for all the information. We'll have updates of our dates and shows and venues and where all that sort of stuff is. I'm sure there'll be lots of excitement and lots of questions, and I'm here for you guys. I love the sport of bodybuilding. It's been my life, and I'm just really, really grateful to be in the position I'm in. And once again, thanks to Jim Mannion and everyone at the Pro League, Bob Lorimer and Arnold Schwarzenegger for getting behind us on this and helping us to make, I guess, a tough decision. But I believe we've made the right one, and we're going to go forward, and there's no stopping. This is going to be absolutely huge, and come along for the ride, and can't wait to work with you all.